Welcome back again to the Say and Tom podcast. This episode going to be talking about Indiana and Oregon. Indiana plays at Oregon. So, off rip, talking about, just logistics. Indiana's traveling kind of across the country, Midwest to the far West Coast, to play the third ranked Oregon Ducks. Indiana's currently ranked number 7. Indiana with a Heisman potential quarterback as of right now. In Martinez, transfer from Cal University, I believe. So Cal, used to playing on the West Coast. Probably nothing major to him. But yeah, take it away, Saison.
All right, coming into this Big Ten showdown, a top 10 matchup between two very great programs right now in college football. Two playoff teams from last year, Oregon and Indiana. Oregon, the number 3 team in the country right now, going up against Indiana, who's number 7. I don't even know if they ever got this high last year. I think last year, like, they just slowly crept up, and I think they maybe like topped out at like 10 or 9 or something like that. So it tells you the kind of expectations we have for Indiana now. Like, they're a real team now. Like, they're up there with the big boys. So welcome to the fray, Hoosiers. This game, I'm very excited for this game because I think it has the potential to be a really good one. The only thing I wish was true about this game was that Indiana was at home, because if Indiana was at home, I think that could make this even more interesting. Definitely could go either way, I think, at that point. But Oregon's at home, and I agree with you. I do believe Oregon is the better team. You alluded to the fact that Oregon has they're just one of those teams that has better athletes. And when you have 5 stars, at every position, and you're going against a team that maybe has a handful of 5 stars, at if that, you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah,
most of their starters are going to be 3 stars and 4 stars. There might even be a couple 2 stars. Like, at a certain point, it's not about coaching. It's not about the game plan. It's not about how prepared they were. They just have better athletes. And a perfect example of that was last week, Alabama and Vanderbilt, because I watched that game. Vanderbilt could have very easily won that game, or at least it had been tied at the end of the game. Like, they turned the ball over twice in the red zone when they could have had touchdowns that could have tied the game up. So Vanderbilt came ready to play, and even though they made a couple mistakes, really it was the fact that the receivers just couldn't get open because Alabama was locking them down all game. 5 stars against 3 stars. You know what I mean? And it's just not fair. Like, you can do everything you can do, but Alabama just has better athletes. Well, I think the same might be true about this game. Indiana's
right,
a great team, but we saw what happened when they ran into Notre Dame last year in the playoff. Like, Notre Dame just has better athletes. You know what I mean? And
right.
no matter how hard you play, like, you can't overcome the fact that half the guys on the other team are going to the NFL, and most of the guys on your team are going
Yeah.
to be selling cars or real estate when they're done. So,
Yeah. Like,
so
no
no
disrespect, but
disrespect at
yeah,
all. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I hope Indiana plays their best game in their A game, because they're going to have to. That's going to be their only shot to win this. We already saw Oregon go into Penn State and completely, well, not completely dominate, but completely silence the whiteout. You know what I mean? And now that Oregon's at home against a team that's not as good as Penn State in regards to talent level. You know what I mean? So I hope this is a great game. But yes, Oregon definitely has the opportunity to run away with this one. Um, I think it'll be a closer one. I think it'll be like between like 10 and 20-point range, in that range. I think Indiana will keep it decently close. But yes, I do agree Oregon will probably just control the game and, be able to run the ball in the end and run the clock out. But if Indiana, this is an important game for Indiana because Indiana needs to at least compete, because just like last year, we're going to get to the end of the season. Indiana's going to have 1 or 2 losses, and they're going to be like, oh, does Indiana really have the strength of schedule to really say they belong here? Can they really play with the big boys? Well, this is one of those games where they have to prove it. Just like last year against Ohio State, where they did show up, they need to show up in this one. They need to show up and prove that they at least belong in the conversation. They don't have to win, but they have to compete. Oregon, Oregon already has a huge win. So even though this would be a letdown loss if they lost this game, I think they'll be okay either way. So Oregon definitely wants to win this one. Just talking about longevity, but Oregon already has a huge win on their schedule. Even though it does look worse now that Penn State lost to UCLA. But I think Oregon will be fine in the end. But they definitely do want to win this game. I think it's more of a must win for Oregon than Indiana. But either way, both of these teams want to show that they belong in the playoff conversation at the end of the year. So give me the Ducks at home. But I think Indiana will make this a game. I think this will be a very interesting game, and I can't wait to tune in.
I just want to add two little more tidbits before we end here. So I do agree that it is more of a must-win for Oregon because Indiana is still undefeated, I believe, correct?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, they're both undefeated.
Yeah, Indiana's still undefeated 5-0. Oregon's still undefeated 5-0, but I think people expect Oregon to win this game. And this is also just one of those teams where it's like Indiana's like upper middle class of the Big 10, if you will, And Oregon is the 1%,
1%. I was gonna say that. The
Oregon's been
wealthy.
the 1% in college football for a long time, but yeah, let alone in the Big Ten where Indiana's like more. They're trying to get to that. They're trying to get to that upper echelon, but right now they're just hanging out in that upper middle class, like you said. They need to keep it close. I do fully agree. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and peace.